G'day, legends. Welcome back. It is Noxie here with another episode of the Chasing Better podcast. And again, I have a fantastic guest, Mr. Trent. He's sometimes known as Tracy, apparently in some circles, but that's apparently when he's only wearing a wig on Fridays. So we'll get to that later. But yeah, he is a very good mate of mine. I've known him for probably just over 12 months now. And he is a businessman, health and fitness coach, strength coach. He's done a little bit of everything. He's had a very dark past as well, and we'll touch base on how he's kind of built himself back up through his journey of chasing better, as always. And he has some really, really cool insights on just how to get through tough moments in life. He now obviously focuses on helping mainly men, which is his target audience, which is fantastic. I know that blokes aren't very good at talking about stuff, so we're going to talk about stuff today. I think that's probably the best way to kind of package it nicely for everyone out there. So Trent, how are you, brother?
Yeah, good, brother. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for good. I made it onto the Noxie
podcast. Yeah, I need to start getting white lights and stuff. No, it's good. I keep talking to Beck about trying to get a green screen from behind, and then I'll just put like random backgrounds and stuff. So that's gonna be sick. I'm just gonna paint this wall, I reckon, and just like might do it while she's at work one weekend. Sweet. So diving into a little bit more about you. So what do you currently do? I know that you spend a lot of time in bed being an online coach.
I actually work hard.
Yeah. So what would you say is your main job at the moment? What would you kind of label yourself as?
It's a health and fitness coach for men who want to who hit tough times or going through anxiety, depression, and it's not mainly talked about, as you said, by men. So getting them, and also at certain stages, life always throws curveballs at us, and we might hit rock bottom and that kind of thing. So I'm here to empower, and through fitness and physiological training. I don't do the mental stuff too much. I touch on it, but that's more psychological, which is, that's why we have psychiatrists and psychologists. But as we know, we have two parts to healing, yes, so the mental and the physical always.
Yep.
Yeah? They go hand in hand, but a lot of people think, I'm going through trauma, I need to go to a psychiatrist, psychologist. But as fitness professionals, we also know that improving yourself through health and fitness also helps combat a lot of that. All the issues that might arise and help us to be stronger, to help overcome any future, kind of bulletproof ourselves as well. Or not be bulletproof, but be able to manage anything that comes into our life.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Have you got like a target age group that you generally work with, or have you worked with younger blokes as well?
Right now, it's about 30, 35 onwards. 35. Most are married, with kids, or divorced, or going through separation, that kind of thing. I don't really have the 20-year-olds. They actually there's probably about 10%, 15% of them. So if I put 100 people, guys there, probably about 15% in the below 30. The rest are all 30 and above. Oldest being about 65 or something like that as well. Cool. But it touches. It doesn't matter what age it is. The mental health and all that touches everybody at a certain stage.
The reason I asked the age thing is a lot of people, and I know I've been guilty of saying it previously, and I've had to check myself a few times, is young people just haven't gone through shit yet, and it's a very common misconception that young people don't go through hard times because they haven't experienced life yet, or you're young, you don't pay taxes yet, or whatever. Like old people are all guilty of saying it, right? So no, I think it's cool to touch base on the fact that like everyone is always going through something, right? Like there's always something going on in life that they're either trying to push through, struggle through. It's a hard time that's kind of stopped them for a bit, So I think that's probably a big message to drive home today, is that like it doesn't matter who you are, male, female, whatever. and also age, like everyone is always going through something. Like I had a new guy sign up this week for training. The poor guy's had 2 deaths in his family in a week, right? And it's like, for some people, like, you know, losing a loved one is like soul destroying, but it's also a time where you need to be able to have people in your corner that you can kind of reach out to if you do need them, you know? So yeah, I think that's a cool part, is that yes, you do have your target niche, as you know, because you're a businessman and, you know, you want to target the right people, but you can also help people of that younger generation as well, which I think is really cool, man.
No, it's good. Yeah, absolutely. You're right in all the aspects. Even the younger guys, they definitely have issues, especially if I found a lot of them have trauma from childhood. Childhood, when you're 5, you're 6, you
Yep.
know, and a lot of that comes from the family, or, you know, abuse or whatever it is. And you know, by the time you're 20, that's still a long time. And you don't know how to deal with it because you're still going through the growth phase of your life, and you don't know how to process it. And it's good to help them at that stage, because then it'll be another 20 years on top if they don't look into it. And obviously then before you know it, 140 kilos, severe depression, anxiety, not going anywhere with their lives. Like we all have dreams and aspirations, but the sooner we can catch it, the sooner we can move on. And as you said, chasing better. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's right. And I think the cool thing is that you're a very relatable bloke as well. I know that you're like a bit of an introvert, but it's also the fact that when you do open up to people, they start to realize, oh shit, like Trent's been there and done it. He's seen some hard shit. And some of your story, and we'll dive into a sec, is pretty full on, and it's quite confronting. And I suppose, like, we'll probably wind it back to the start. Like, you've obviously been in gyms, in and out of gyms, coaching as an athlete, as a client. Like, how long do you reckon you've been in the fitness game for now, bro?
24 years.
40 years?
24 years.
24 years? Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, I mean, that in itself, like, you've had over 2 decades, right, of training in and out of gyms, like we said. And you've obviously seen a lot of people. You've probably seen a lot of different methods of going about it, and all that sort of stuff along the way. So have I. Like, as a younger guy, what kind of got you into training in that in the first place? Were you like a sporty kid, or were you kind of active as a kid, or kind of did you keep to yourself when you were younger, or?
Yeah, good question. Being, you know, Asian parents, they just wanted me to study, stay at home, study. Wasn't really into sports. They did,
Yep.
you know, I did go out and play soccer and stuff, but I was always that skinny kid. That was, I think, when I was 18, I weighed like 52 kilos.
Yeah, nice.
That's one of your thighs, I think.
Yeah, it's one of my legs. Yeah.
I know. So I tried, but I wasn't very physically. Didn't have the physical attributes to dominate on the field or anything like that. I was always very driven because my dad instilled that in me. It's like the old school. You're a man. You need to do this. You know, the old school ways. So you know, if you fall over, get up and dust yourself off and keep going, kind of thing. So I got into that, and then I think I was like, okay, I was introverted as well. It wasn't very. I had to get to know people before I open up. As you said, it's right, and just decided to make a change because look, I mean, when I was young, I was like, oh, I need to do this. I can't. I'm not having luck with the girls.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's cool. It's a very valid reason to start training, right?
Yeah. And the thing is, like, and my clients come on and say, look, Trent, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm doing this for the women. I go, you're right. You're 20. It's fine. I did it as well, brother. But you know, and then so I did that. But then over time now, I then I started moving into weightlifting and bodybuilding, and just touched my hand on everything, powerlifting and all that. Just wanted to. I think instilled in me the ability to see how far I can push myself. Be better. Just you know, even if it's a bit 1% better, and it takes me a year, I don't care. I'll just keep going, and I think that gave me a purpose in life as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much that's it when I was younger. Yeah.
Nice, man. And so I suppose like, because I still remember day one walking into the Australian Institute of Fitness when I decided to do my Cert 3 and 4 for fitness, right? To become a coach essentially. And day one, we sat in the classroom, there was like 30 other people there. No one knew who I was. No one knew my background, losing 90 kilos, all that sort of stuff. They just saw a dude that was now healthier and wanted to be a coach, right? So I still remember to this day, we put up a thing on the board. It was a blackboard and it was just we walked in after lunchtime and the coach at the time had put up benefits versus negatives or non-benefits or however he worded it. And we literally walked in and we're like, okay, cool, what's this about? You've just had lunch or that sort of thing. And then the coach was just like, cool, all right, I just want you to shout out things. We're going to look at all the negative things associated with training, eating healthy, living healthy. So any negatives, anything you can come up with, put it on the board. I think we had 6 things. And I think
I remember it well.
yeah. And I think the main one that stuck out to me was obviously eating disorders through like bodybuilding competitions and stuff like that, which, a lot of people have talked about on and off. And then we got to benefits. And I still remember it took us like 20 plus minutes, which is a long time when you're sitting in a classroom trying to just shout out answers. Like 20 minutes is a fucking long time. So it was, feel better, your mental health improves, you get stronger, you pick up chicks. Like I know for certain that was one thing that got written on the board was pick up chicks or pick up the opposite sex, which is, that was funny. But again, it's a valid reason for why you want to be better, right? So, and I think to this day, it still sticks out to me that, it doesn't matter why you get into training or just moving and eating better and stuff like that. There are so many benefits that the everyday person just isn't aware exist. Because I think they've just never experienced a good fucking day, and I bang on about this to my clients all the time. It's like the reason it hasn't stuck for you yet is you haven't had that one day where you're like, I'm unbreakable. Right. And I've had that day. That was the day that I, on my initial weight loss of dropping 90, my coach at the time actually got me to do an entire session holding 20 kilo dumbbells. So I had a 20 kilo dumbbell, one in each hand, the entire session. I had to do lunges, step ups, squats, everything. Like everything had to have these 2 dumbbells in my hand. We had done a weigh-in the day before on a Monday, and he hadn't actually let me see the scales. So I had no idea if I'd gone up, down, whatever. Went home that day, obviously freaked out. I was like, oh my God, maybe it was bad, all that sort of stuff. And then came in and did this session the next day with 20 kilo dumbbells. And at the end of the session, he goes, how do you feel? And I was cooked. I was like, this is fucking mental. These dumbbells are heavy as shit. He's like, good. That's what you used to carry around. And I'm like, whoa. And he's like, you've lost 40 kilos as of yesterday's weigh-in. And I was like, holy shit. And that was the first moment that I realized I need to do this shit all the time. And it wasn't just about the weight loss. It was the fact that, like you said, I now knew that I could push myself to do harder stuff, to challenge myself and, take on new things and all this sort of stuff. And I think from that moment on, I've never looked back. I've had a couple of points, losing dad, I chucked on 20 kilos because it was a very emotional time and all that sort of stuff. But bouncing back for that was so much easier knowing that I knew how to accept challenge and take on risk and all these sorts of things. Yeah.
The Matrix moment where Neo stops the bullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, whoa.
yeah. And it's that whoa moment. It's like, holy shit.
Moment. It's like, I can do anything now. I fly.
Yeah.
Now that's one of the best things when you see clients turn up and go, Trent, I can do this. I can give me something harder to do. And you're like, yes, you've completed the first levels to building yourself and knowing what you can achieve, which is really good. Yeah. As trainers, we love seeing that.
I think that is the best thing about being a health and fitness coach or strength coach or whatever. Being a coach of any kind is when you have a client or a customer that come to you and they've had the moment of realization. right?
Yeah.
When it's something they've realized on their own, and you haven't had to physically point it out to them that they are better in, a deadlift, or they ran a bit faster yesterday, or the food's been fantastic and hence they're dropping weight or whatever.
Yeah.
Like when they realize those moments of being fucking awesome, like you can't top that. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, you could have Arnold Schwarzenegger in the room with you talking about his latest movie, and that client's win or moment of realization, I would still value that any day of the week. Like, it's unbeatable. Yeah.
It brings fulfillment to our lives, and also obviously our jobs, but more for our own lives as well. That we're helping others, which is really, really, really good.
And the best fit as a coach after that is you go, cool, what's next? And they're like, oh shit, because they kind of have that like, okay, I'm ready, right? And you hit them straight away with the like, what's next? And they're like, I haven't thought about that yet. I'm like, cool, well, now we're thinking about it, and all of a sudden they're like, I start to crave more, and it's fucking cool, man. I love it.
It's like, I can't believe I just told you that. Now I'm going to suffer.
Yeah. It's like, sounds like the weights are getting heavier next week. Let's go. Like, yeah.
It's going to skip over here and grab a couple of 5 kilos and just whack it over.
No, awesome, man. So I suppose probably traveling on from the, getting into the fitness industry and stuff like that, you've had some tough times since then, I think. You've obviously mentioned a few times about your dark past with, was unemployment and then, living on the streets and stuff for a while and things like that. Like in those sorts of moments, like, you don't have to dive too deep into it, but just like, what kind of happened around that period? Like, did everything fall apart, or was it like one certain part of the life kind
I
of?
don't mind going a bit too deep into it. Just a bit of prehistory there is like,
Yep.
So I got into, so I got through a divorce. It was messy. Well, I'm not going to get in. There's no finger pointing. Divorce.
No, that's fine. It's never a fun time, man.
It's never a fun time, and we've got 50% of people going through it. It's one of those things. Anyway, so went through it. To cope with it, stupid me decided to. I had trauma from childhood trauma.
Yep.
It's an upbringing and all that. So I hadn't really faced it, and I didn't know that I had depression. And then you get the divorce on top. It's like, hey, you're down here. Let's just step on you a bit more.
Yep.
Just see how you go. Didn't diagnose I should have looking back, but anyway, started heading into the drugs. I did sleeping tablets, coke, you name it. I tried it, weed, all the other stuff, just to cope with it.
Yep.
And basically, I started going a dark hole. My businesses, my gyms. I had 3 gyms. It all went down because I wasn't turning up. I just when you run 3 gyms, you don't just sit at home all day. Yeah. So you know yourself. So it went down that path and ended up in jail because of it. So I spent 2 years on the inside. Looking back, it was a blessing in disguise. People say jail. I went to jail, but sometimes you can look at it from a positive. If I had kept going, I probably would have died, overdose, whatever it is. So it was basically a slap in the head. Off you go. And so it came out at a lot of times to cleanse myself, but also reflect and think, recondition, and then come out. And then came out, obviously. I'm the type that doesn't really like to rely on others too much. So if I can do it, I'll do it myself.
Very common trait in men, isn't it?
Right?
It's a very common trait in men. Yep.
I'm not asking for directions. I'm going to get right.
But if you do give me directions, I'll probably use them. Yeah, but I'm not going to ask for them.
I'm not going to ask. I ended up homeless on the streets, so eating out of garbage bins and stuff like that. But you got to do what you got to do to survive, and then started rebuilding my fitness business back up. Then I decided, just to now fast forward.
What made you kind of jump back onto the health side of things? Like, obviously, you're in a pretty bad way. Like, where does that kind of?
I didn't really want to get back. I was like half-assed because you have this certainty where even after, I think by that time I had done 18 years of coaching. I was like, you start questioning yourself. Like 2 years, you come out, you're like, you haven't done any training or training anybody in 2 years, and you're like, you get rusty and you're like, oh, where do I start?
Mm-hmm.
Where do I start again? And then I thought, I'll probably go back to working as an office job or
Mm-hmm.
labourer, something,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And I was like, and then I think I spoke to, actually, I've got to credit one of my old workmates at the gym. He reached
Mm-hmm.
out and said, Trent, bro, come out and work for us. We need a coach. You
Okay.
are one of the best around, blah blah blah, whatever it is. I mentored him back then when he was
Okay, cool.
yeah. So karma, people, karma.
Mm.
Be nice to everyone.
Did you find a bit of self-worth again just by having that conversation? Because
Yeah, I
obviously
did.
that impact
Yeah,
you've had on someone previously, even
yeah,
though you've gone through so much shit or you were in a shit spot,
yeah,
like you've clearly affected someone enough for them to go, well, hang on, like if you were to change yourself, like we want to give you a go, you know?
yeah. Yeah, I had several people reach out actually. Okay, Trent, you're out. It was only like a week out of jail, and they're like,
Yeah, right.
oh, yeah, come. I was like, I posted, hey guys, I'm back. I was hesitant to post that because everyone knew where I went or disappeared. And I was
did
like, hey guys.
they all think you were going to get jacked in prison or something like in the movies? So instead
Yeah.
of come out, you're like, we got to get Trent, man. He's like 3 times the size. It's fucking crazy.
I didn't. I came in like 90 kilos, came out 75 kilos, but
Mm.
in there it only give you that proper nutrition. But I don't want to go into it too much. But
No,
yeah,
that's cool. That's cool.
but then outside, so I had a few people reach out from that one post on Instagram, Facebook, say, "Hey, back," because my Facebook account, 2016, middle 2016, just went
Mm-hmm.
disappeared, and then
Yep.
2018 is like, hi. It's like, what is this going? And then I had all these people message, hey, where you been, bro? And I explained there. I said, all right, yeah, look, yeah, we know your worth. We know your worth. You've helped us. You've helped others. You've helped me. Come work for me. We need someone of your capabilities. Look, it's not going to pay what you used to do. But look, as I said, beggars can't be choosers, and I want to get back in the industry, and I want to help people and all that as well. So I was like, whatever. So I got back into it. And lucky I got some rent free for I think 6 weeks to build it, and I built it real quick because I think I was working. So I was sleeping on the park bench outside
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have enough money to catch a train and bus home.
Yep. Yeah.
I could have stayed with my parents, but they were 2.5 hours away traveling
Yep.
one way.
Now this is in Sydney too, right? So stuff's not cheap in Sydney. Yeah.
That's not cheap, brother. Stuff's not cheap.
I live in
So,
Perth and it's
yeah.
bad enough, but I've heard what it's like over there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the streets for like I think 3-4 weeks there and just slept outside. No one knew. But anyway, slept for 4 or 5 hours, got back to 5 a.m. start, finished at 8, showered in the gym and repeat all over and over again. And then you build a sense of self-worth because you're like, as your first client comes along, you help them, and then another client comes along, and then another one comes along. It builds slowly, but I can do this. I can do this. But when you're at the bottom and you're looking up, like at that mountain, like you're like, Jesus, you know where you need to get to. You're like, holy shit, this is going to be tough. You doubt yourself. You do. You doubt yourself, and it plays with you. Every morning you wake up, you're like, holy shit, and I was working on a park bench, back was hurting. I was like, holy shit, how am I going to do this? But you just think, okay, other people have done it. You hear stories of other people who have done it from nothing. It's like they're not any more special than I am in that regard. The only thing that they have is that determination and willpower and just bullheadedness to turn up every day and get it done. No matter what the cost, just turn up and get it done. And eventually, if you keep doing it, something's going to happen. Yeah, something will happen eventually as well. So that's pretty much that part of the journey there. That was like 5 years ago. 5 years.
That's cool, man. And to see you 5 years later, and like I said, I've only known you for a year now, just over a year, and the growth you've had as an online coach in this last 12 months has been phenomenal. But something that kind of, hearing the process you went through from being at literally ground zero, like there wasn't much further you could have fallen apart from obviously death and stuff like that. So like I think the cool thing is you found a way out of that. But Did you find you had to fall in love with the process of coaching people again? Because obviously you found that little bit of worth because someone reached out to you, which I think that's fantastic. That and it shows the power of humanity, right? Like people can
Mm.
see opportunities of better in others. Like I talk to my clients all the time about like it doesn't matter who they are when they walk in for a consult, day one, and they've never been in the gym before, or they might have trained before, or they haven't done it for 10 years or whatever, male, female, whatever, all the same sort of stuff. It's like I can still see that if they show up, they'll make it fucking happen, right? Because I know that we've got the tools to help them get there. All I need to do is like coach them on how to keep showing up. Like you said, you had that first client, and then all of a sudden you had two clients, and then you had three, and it grows and grows. So, did you find you had to fall in love with the process of teaching people to win again, even though you'd been in such a dark place?
Oh, great. Yeah, great question there. I doubted myself. I was like, how can I teach you to win when I'm at rock bottom as well?
Exactly. Exactly.
It's hard, but you think I. The thing is, I have some value to give. Okay, I've got the years of experience as well, but I've coached people to lose X Y Z amounts, to world champions lift X Y Z. That thing is like that point in that matrix moment that you're talking about. It's like I can do this as well. So no matter where you are, if you're a beginner, even if you've trained for a long time and you stopped, starting up again is hard. It doesn't matter where you're at, but at that point in time, it's like, do you go back that way or you go this way? The blue or the red pill. Okay,
Mhm.
you can stay where you are, or you can just go for it and get the other pill. Okay, so it's basically I did that, but once you hit that, you cannot go back. That's why I love the Matrix side. He's like he can't go back once he chose that pill. He can't go back to that cocoon that he was in anymore.
Mhm.
A lot of people doubt themselves, so they stay. They choose to stay where they are. Okay, and I want to, if you listen to this, mate, look at where you are now and see. Are you happy? Are you happy? Are you where you want to be in life? It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be financial. Are you with your family, with your work, whatever it is? Are you happy where you are right now? If you're not, then think about what you set small goals, what you need to do about it, and take that leap. Choose that pill that like Neo did, and cross that bridge, and see what's out there. Okay, because if you're not happy where you are, you're never going to be happy, and the only thing we lose is time.
Mm-hmm. And happiness trumps everything, man. Like it doesn't matter
Happiness, yeah, absolutely.
the end game is happiness, right? Like
Yeah.
I think I've read a few studies on people on deathbed that are literally like terminal patients and all that sort of stuff, and it's like the top 10 regrets or the top 5 regrets that they've had, and these are people that are potentially dying within the next 24 hours, and they actually interview them and they go like, do you have any regrets? And like a lot of the time it's I wish I'd spent more time with my family, or I wish I'd been happier, right? Like I'd done more stuff for me. And I think that's a powerful message that you've brought, is that you've seen what it's like to have zero happiness in your life. So I can guarantee in those dark times there probably wasn't much joy to your day.
Some days you do want to get up.
Yeah.
I've committed suicide a few times and stuff,
Mm.
but when you're at the bottom, it's like you're shouldering a lot of things, like really heavy boulders that kind of push you up. You stand up, it pushes you down. But as we said, on your deathbed, a lot. I think I remember reading that or listening to that. Well, a lot of them didn't mention anything about in terms of money or
No.
anything like that. It was basically experiences,
Mm-hmm.
family, more about self growth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anything else? Yes, we do need money for certain parts to live to a certain age. Obviously, if you don't have it, obviously, we're not talking about extravagant now. Just enough. So, if you want to experience, you want to take up a hobby. One day I want to become the best pottery person ever. Obviously, there's a bit of amount of money to it, but at the same time, do you need extravagant amounts of money to make the best pottery? No, you don't. Obviously,
No.
but you achieve something in your life, and that's why the good point with on the deathbed one.
Mm.
It's something that we need to obviously strive towards. Happiness for everyone is different as well. It's not all the same.
Yeah.
But
Like, I
yeah,
mean, an eye-opening experience for me when I was working in retail, and like I'd finished my weight loss, and my coach had actually told me, you need to go and become a coach. Like, you're a walking advertisement for health. And I've talked about this with Dylan a few times and stuff like that. And the thing that actually I think frightened me or kind of scared me into taking action, or gave me a push, however you want to call it, was sitting in the break room at Target one day. And I used to talk to everyone. Again, I can talk underwater, hence why we have a podcast.
yeah.
But talking to one of the ladies who was 60 plus years old, she had worked at that same store doing the same job for 40 plus years. Right. So I think she was like 16 when she started at Target, and she had worked the same place that entire time. She had never gone and tried a new job. She had never looked at management. She had never, like, it was just, for me, at first, being a young guy in my 20s, I did see it as a form of sadness. Like, in being honest, looking back at it now, I was like, God, that's so sad, right? I was like, oh my God, like, how can you do that? Boredom and all these were my initial thoughts. But she was someone that absolutely loved her job. Like, if you asked her about the
She
job,
loves her job.
she
Yeah.
absolutely loved it. She loved the fact that she could talk to man, woman, child, whoever walked in the store. She absolutely loved it. It had job security for her, so she didn't have to worry about where her next paycheck was coming from. So she was in that comfort zone, right? And the fact that she could say that she loved it with so much joy in her voice, I was like, I look back at it now and I'm like, well, that's cool. Like, that was her version of happiness, and that's totally okay. But something in me was like, damn, I can't do that for 40 years. Like, I was like, I can't sell iPads for the next 40 years. It doesn't bring me that same level of fulfillment. Um, and that's where I took that red pill and went and got some change, and it was,
Yeah.
it was hectic and scary as hell, right? Scary as hell. And it's like anyone when they start a new job. Like, we've had so many people, start FIFO over here since COVID. And it's scary, right? But I've had to have that same sort of conversation. I'm like, we find our best selves at the edge of, challenge. Like, that's where we take that next step, because otherwise we'd stay the same. Everyone would be bored. Life would be kind of pointless. We'd all die young because we've had no challenges and all this sort of stuff. So, yeah, no, it's a cool concept.
I had a client. He came on and he's like, "Okay, what do you do for work?" And he's like, "It's just started." And I'm like, "Oh, Ruth, I go, what do you do?" I got push trolleys. Okay. And he goes, "Oh, that's awesome." And he goes, "Do you enjoy it?" He goes, "I love it, bro. The trolleys. It's just me, myself, and these trolleys. I chase the trolleys. I stay fit and stuff like that." And obviously, the problem with him was that he couldn't put on weight. He just kept burning it off, chasing these trolleys all the time.
Yeah.
He goes, "I go trolley hunting because people leave trolleys on like park benches and
Yep.
hanging on." And I listen to his stories. It's so good, so fun. And there's no judgment there at all. It's just basically shit. So every time I see a person pushing a trolley and he looks like he's having the best time of his life, I think my client and go, right, he obviously loves his job. He's left alone to his own devices.
Mhm.
No one's calling or messaging. He just, as long as he, I think he said, as long as he gets all the trolleys, there's not too many lying around. If he cleans it in the shopping zone, he drives out to the local areas and then picks them up from the streets around and stuff like that. And he loves it. And he goes, "I just do my thing, go home, and that's it." No, and I enjoy it so much. So as you said with the pills, if he's happy, he doesn't need to take the blue pill to change whatever it is. You know what I mean? Just stay where he is. But the thing is, if you're not, then obviously make that change.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Like, so many people think that to be happy and fulfilled in life, they have to be a 7-figure CEO of a big company. And that's the way of the world at the moment, right? It's like, if you haven't done that, you're not successful, right? Or you're not happy. And it's like, man, I have seen, like you said, you see people doing day jobs and they are some of the happiest fucking people you'll ever meet. And it brings you back down to earth, and it humbles you, because you're like, yeah, cool. Like, everyone's version of happiness is so different. And that's okay. So, yeah.
Oh, if the CEO is happy where he is, then fine. The guy pushing tries happy where he is, great. That's it. And there should be no real judgment on anybody. I don't really judge. It's like, hey, you're happy, you're doing your own thing, great. You're not hurting anyone else. Looking after your family and yourself. Fine. That's pretty much it, really. Yeah.
Awesome.
Good point.
So winding it to relatability with your clients. Now, obviously, you've been through dark. We've been over that, but how do you find that you're a better coach because of that? Because you have relatability?
Oh, absolutely, 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it, look, they say it's like going to uni. They can teach you all the theory, but we know when you get out, the experience, the next 20, 30, 40 years of working will teach you a shitload more. Not saying you
100%.
are applicable, but how do you play? You just read a book. How do you have to apply it?
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to humans, people, it's so diverse. As you know yourself, 1,000 people walk into a gyms or a coaching. They're all different. All 1,000 will have different things because they'll come from different backgrounds, different cultures, different family life, different ways of thinking.
Yeah.
It may be this. Like you can have twins walk in and they live very different lives.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
One's an introvert, one's an extrovert. One you know, doesn't really see the point in lifting heavy. One might see the point in lifting heavy. One might love cardio. One doesn't. It's
Yep.
even though they're twins, that kind of thing. So yeah, it is. They're very diverse, and the relatability really helps in that regard. That when they say, okay, because if they're talking to me and they go, oh, what do you know, Trent, about it? I go, well, you know my story. So where what you've done, I've already been through, and probably much worse. I'm not. It's not a competition who's worse. It's more like I can help you with this because I've been there, and these are the steps I've done. But also now I put into a program or a method with other clients, and they've done it, and they've come through the other end as well. Same as when you did your weight loss. Someone else would be like, I need to lose 10 kilos. Well, I can help you with that. I've lost 90 kilos, that kind of thing. So definitely you would be able to relate. Relatability is huge. Now, I don't think it really means that it's the be all and end all, but it does help immensely. That's my personal opinion as a coach. So, yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think it's good, man. And I used to be someone that would judge again, like as a young coach PT. I used to judge 18-year-old coaches and PTs, guys that had done the course way younger than what I did, because I did mine, mid to late 20s once I'd done my weight loss and thought I had all the experience in the world.
We all, we all,
No, no, I had heaps to learn. As soon as I got my cert 3 and 4, I met up with people like Brad and stuff, TBC and everything. And
yeah,
like the shit I didn't know was like, oh my God. But again, that's part of life, right? Like we're always a student. But I think again, like we can't judge younger people because they just haven't experienced coaching a 60-year-old before, or they don't know how to talk to a mum who's got 4 kids, 2 jobs, and has a FIFO husband. Like, when you're always upgrading your little $5 stories and those little $5 wins that you get with your clients, right? So like I've got stories about clients that have gone from 18 cans of Coke a day to none, right? I've got ladies that have gone from drinking 9 cups of coffee every night on night shift to actually eating 3 to 4 meals a day and having the most energy they've ever had. So like I've taken guys that have never lifted a dumbbell before and now they, can lift double body weight. So there's so many different facets to it. But again, experience and having those life experiences is so powerful. But again, I'm super grateful for my story. And I think, do you share your story often as a way to connect with people? Because and I've mentioned this a few times, I stopped telling my story.
Yeah, I stopped as well. I
Mm.
share other client stories who
Mhm.
are in. So if someone wants to lose 10 kilos, I'll relate it back to someone who's lost 10 kilos. In
Mhm.
my,
Mhm.
it's more relatable. Like if I wouldn't relate, like say you've lost 90, I wouldn't relate your story to someone who wants to lose 5.
Yep.
I think yeah. But if someone here wants to lose 80, I'll go, yeah, I've got a client, Noxie, he's lost 90. This is what he went through. This is what he's done. This is what he had to overcome and to get to that, blue pill moment as well.
Mhm.
So that the whole, yeah, that's what I don't really personally use it because I think what with us coaches is that people look to us, they know we can do it. That's why we are who we are. We're
Mm.
coaches. Okay. The thing is, if I think it's better in terms of helping the client to achieve what they need to do is related to someone who isn't in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's like when you're a PT, they think, okay, straight away they think Jack fit, runs around, does one hand push-ups, that kind of thing as a trainer. But if they can relate it to someone, you can relate it back to someone who's already in your program or you've helped. Now, in the past, it helps them a lot more on their journey. That's just what I found.
Yeah. And again, I stopped using it for a while, and then did a life coaching course and realized that there's so much power in my story that I no longer use it and I never really have used it as a like big note myself, and I've done it, and so can you, and fucking why haven't you done it yet, and all that sort of shit, because you can go that way. And yes, it will get you clients and stuff like that, and you can sell that story to people, so to speak. But I essentially use my story as a way to show clients that I'm human. I'm just another human being. And the only difference between me and them is that I've just done it longer and more consistently than their particular journey. And I think that works really well because a lot of the time, and I don't know if you've felt this, but I know Dylan, for example, a few times has had people come in like, oh, but you've always been jacked and all that sort of shit. Like you're a coach. Like you came out of the womb and you had a fucking six pack. It's like, no, that's not how it works. But again, that's the general opinion sometimes of people versus coaches, right? So when you can kind of shatter that as soon as possible and go, no, I was an overweight dude. I fucking struggled through this. I had addiction. I had this or whatever the case may be. They go, oh shit, you really are a normal dude. Like I met a 7-figure CEO for the first time about 5-6 years ago. Right, the guy flew on helicopters and all sorts of shit, and it was during an event that I went to Queensland for, and got to spend a day with him out on this island thing, and he flew us all out on helicopters. It was fucking sick, like private boats and everything. And it was literally this deserted island that you could hire for the day. And we just had a mentoring like 3 or 4 hour session. We just sat around and shared stories and ideas on business and all this sort of stuff. But the one thing that stuck out to me was that I'm like, this guy that I've seen on Zooms and videos online and, pump up videos and all sorts of shit, was just a guy. He was a guy with kids. He was a guy that had struggles. He'd been unemployed. He'd, done all these things. And I was like, he's just a dude, right? He's a dude that just happens to have worked really hard to have gotten a 7-figure title and now has a 7-figure title. But realistically, when you just spoke to him, you're like, man, this guy's just done it more consistently and he's just done it for longer than I have. And I was like, and that was kind of like a really powerful moment for me to realize that, we're all just human. It just depends on how we approach it and how long we stick at it,
It's interesting because nowadays, Instagram, Facebook, everyone was influencers. They put out this, I hate to say it, but this fake life that they put out, standing.
A highlight reel.
It's a highlight reel.
Yeah.
You look at it and there's like, they're just normal dudes. Yes, they train a lot, commit their lives to looking jacked and stuff. But it's like that's, they only show you the good bits, obviously, as you said, highlight reel, but what about the rest of their lives? Like, it's like, and then people get this notion that they've always been jacked, and some trainers do that as well. I know me and you and the rest of us in the mum coaching, we don't do that. We show the, funny bits, and like today's Friday, we got a good clip coming up.
Blooper reels, man. It's all about the blooper reels.
And, sitting there and you're trying to do stuff and you got your kids running around or your partner and that kind of thing. And, you do everyday things like everybody else. I think I posted a photo of myself eating pizza last Sunday, whatever. It's just these other current influencers and stuff. And I think it's rewired a lot of people perception that, they don't eat pizza. I'm pretty sure that they do have their odd meals, cheap meals and stuff that they do as well, but they just don't show it.
I'm quite open about the fact that people especially on a Friday, for example, like our last session for the week's obviously either a Thursday or a Friday Arvo, depending on what clients come in. And, they're always like, oh, what are you up to, coach, this weekend? I'm like, I've got a date with ice cream tomorrow night. And they're like, oh. And then like, you can just see their brain is like, that doesn't, what? Huh? Like, what? You're not allowed to say that. I'm like, yeah, I am. But, it's just...
I've got a date with a bit of whiskey and a couple of slices of pizza in front of Netflix. What am I watching Game of Thrones or whatever it is. Like, oh yeah, okay.
I love seeing your comments on it. It doesn't matter what Friday is. It's always a Friday, and you're like, all right, it's whiskey time, and it's like, four,
Yeah.
4 o'clock in Perth, but it's 7 over in Sydney. And
Yeah.
oh, Trent's finished for the week. Yep, no
Oh,
worries.
see you later. Clocking off, logging off, and then here you go. Watching. That's it. Look, we do like everything else. I think, if anyone who's watching this as trainers, we nothing, no more any special than anybody else. As you said, we've been doing it a long time. It's become ingrained in as a habit. It's
We eat food and we like it.
and look, I don't like. I hate training. I do not like training myself personally. I don't like doing it.
I fucking hate training split squats, man. Any form of lunge, split squat, whatever, is the most hated exercise. But I need to do them for footy.
Yeah, I know. And I do it for my mental health. You do it for your mental, whatever the reason, we do it because we know if we don't do it, then the consequences are here. But obviously, trying to improve ourselves, and each day, each session at the same time. And then over years, before you know, you've been doing it for 20-something years. I was like, when you asked, I was like, holy shit.
I might have to do that get that on a shirt because I'm setting up my apparel. And it might get it, in 20 years, and then on the back, I might like lunges, like just something like that.
Like 20 years, I might like cardio.
Yeah. I may like running if it's not for sport in 20 years. Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean? Why is this on my program when Paul gives it? It's like, what do you mean 15 minutes of cardio after I've done all these squats? What's wrong with you?
So that Paul can sit back and enjoy his afternoon.
It's people, I don't know if you get the question. It's like, do you like training? I was like, look at them going, no, I actually don't. I do enjoy it you enjoy it when you're there. But that trip from 5-minute trip from my house to the gym is probably the hardest I get sometimes to get there. And then when you're in there, you feel so good and you train like a man.
Hands are on the steering wheel and you're like, do a U-turn, do a U-turn, do a U-turn.
You're just like, why? When you walk through the door, do your warm up and all that, and then it's like we're on.
You smell the sweat and the Lynx deodorant, and you're like, yeah, we're on. Let's go.
I think people don't believe we don't understand it because we're in gyms pretty much all our lives. I think I've been at gyms more than I was at home when I was running gyms. I was at 70, 80 hours, like it's like I came home just to eat, sleep, and play with the kids and stuff like that. When it was back to the gym, you're like, at the end of it, you're like, I don't really want to train after training clients 5 in the morning to 7, 8. But you're like, you have to do it because at the end of the day, you can't be coaching others and not doing it yourself as well. And that's not one of the reasons, but there's other reasons, obviously.
Can't walk the walk if you're going to talk the talk,
Yeah, absolutely. People that say not as I do.
That's right. To this day, I still haven't programmed in muscle ups in any of our programs yet because I can't do them yet. But once I can do them, cool. I'll program them for clients.
Yeah, that's it. No, it's good to get on and hopefully people watching the podcast understand that. There are times when it's always hard to start, but once you start and you keep showing up, it becomes a lot easier. Best
addiction you'll ever have.
But this is not even through training. It's just through even life. The way I coach there is through, because there's mindset and there's also my motto is stronger body and mind leads to a fulfilling life. I'm going to get that tattooed very soon anyway.
Bang! I like it.
Yeah. Don't take it.
That was good.
I'm getting in Balinese, like the Sanskrit. So Sanskrit when I'm there.
Oh, do it,
and then it's like, because if you can start your fitness journey and you're here, you want to drop 30 kilos. It's going to be hard. It's going to start hard, and then obviously, as you know, you can learn, but mentally you're also learning that you're physically changing, but also mentally you're changing as well. And each step that you take, your body changes, but your mental state changes. And obviously that mental state now carries over to anything else that life throws at you later on. You're like, okay, I've been at this place before. that it's rock bottom place. Like, say something happens, like I did with the marriage and all that other stuff. Like, I've been at this place before. I can rebuild. I can go there again because you've been there once. Like muscle memory, will come back. Will come back quickly. Actually, because you just have to put in the work as well. But yeah, I'm a big advocate of training through to like people who work on the mental side and obviously, mental helps the physical. If the mind can't think you can do it, the body can't. But also at the same time, but if you can start doing the turning up and picking up a dumbbell and just moving it over time, the mental side's going to grow at the same time. So it's a two-way street. It's not like a marriage as well. So yeah. Anyway, that's my little spiel on that.
No, that's cool, man. And I think, in closing for today, like it's obviously been fantastic having you on, and I'm sure we'll do many more of these. Now that I know you can talk in public, which is good. So all those Facebook lives have definitely helped, bro. You've come a long way. But I mean that's a journey in itself, right? Like I still remember your first live when you
it was terrible
coaching, man. Yeah. Hi, I'm Trent, and
I was pissing my pants.
It was always a headshot because you didn't know what was going on with the legs.
I was like, I can't believe I'm here. Damn you. Noxie, you put me up to this.
Damn straight, man.
Noxie put me up to that, by the way. You said, don't be soft, get on and do it.
I challenged you, bro, and you fucking smashed it. No, you've done well. But no, I think it's been fantastic today to see that you can be in the darkest of dark spots, but due to experiences that you've had, but also been able to pass on to others through that ripple effect that I like to call, when you are helping others, it doesn't matter how far you fall, there's always that opportunity to rise again and even better, so which is really, really cool. And I think the second biggest takeaway today is you really kind of helped me reinforce the fact that us coaches, whether we're life coaches, strength coaches, whatever, HIIT class instructors, we're all just people at the end of the day. So my message, as always, to those out there is, if you are needing help, obviously Trent's based over in Sydney. He's an online coach as well. I'll drop his social links in the description and the comments below. So make sure if you are needing help over that way, guys, hit him up. He doesn't like HIIT, but he'll put ladies onto HIIT if he has to, from what I've heard. But no, it's cool. And I think the fantastic thing is, guys, is like anyone's able to do it. You just need to take that first step. We bang on about it all the time, but it's the stuff that works. So Trent,
I really better. That's why I said chasing better. I agree.
I know, right? We've nailed it. So no, it's good, man. And did you have anything else you wanted to add in closing before we finish up for today, bro?
No, really, really good. Thanks for having me on. And that's it. Get out in there and make the change and get to it, guys.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, guys. So thanks for joining us today. Like I said, hit up Trent if you need a hand. I'm always here for a chat if you need as well, guys. Make sure you're following us on Instagram, on all the socials. You know where to find me. And we'll leave it there. And thanks for your time, bro. Talk to you soon.
Yeah.